Yo, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today guys, I'll be doing a 3-month review on the Samsung Odyssey G3. I finally had this monitor for a few months right now, and it's finally time to basically tell you guys how it holds up long term. So guys, I'm gonna test the screen quality, the gaming, we're gonna test the HDR, we're gonna test the design, basically everything you guys can think of. I'm gonna basically review that. And guys, if you guys are interested, make sure to check out the link in the description. Down below is the Amazon link if you guys are interested in viewing it over there for the detailed specifications. But first off guys, I feel like we should get into the display test without HDR. So right here guys, we have Relaxation Foam. Credit to them because I'm using their video to test this monitor screen. You guys can find their channel on YouTube, but as you guys can see, this is a 1440p display. Of course you guys know that it's a Samsung Odyssey G5, and we're currently having the HDR turned off so you guys can see how it looks in basically normal colors. Now we will get into the HDR test right now, but first off, you guys can see the difference between the HDR or the SDR. Of course guys, this video is not taken in HDR, so you guys are probably gonna have to look for very fine details, but over here you guys can see the display is pretty good without HDR even turned on. I really don't notice that big of a difference even in person, but now we are gonna turn on HDR. So there's a little bit of a more, I would say, color on this monitor of HDR turned on, but it's really minimal guys. But of course it comes with the monitor, so why not even use HDR? Am I right everybody? So yeah, over here you guys can see is the same video but just with HDR turned on, and you guys can see it's very vibrant. I really like this monitor because it doesn't really have any of that camera effect. If you guys know, if you basically show a camera or basically put a phone near a screen, you guys see this weird effect on the screen. Well, that's clearly not the case on this monitor because of course it's a little bit of the mid-range what you can say mid-range monitors. I don't know what it's called, but let's get into the ghosting test. So over here you guys can see is also minimal ghosting, and yeah, this is taken in 60 FPS for everybody wondering, so you guys can actually see that ghosting clearly, but there is no ghosting. I have to say maybe a little bit, but I really don't see it. You have to look very closely. It's definitely not as bad as other monitors that I've reviewed in the past. So yeah guys, honestly man, this monitor, minimal ghosting. Over here you guys can see different FPSs as 41 FPS, 83 or 165 FPS, and also over here there is not any ghosting. So this monitor really does its processing well in terms of basically displaying images or fast moving videos or games or whatever it could be. But guys, I think it's finally time to have a look at this monitor's design, because the design is a little bit not so good, because the stand is sadly not adjustable, even though the Samsung Odyssey G3, which is the cheaper monitor, has an adjustable stand. But I feel like they made up for the price, and because this is a curved display, so that basically makes sense why the stand is not that fancy. So I'm gonna show you guys. You guys can actually just connect another stand on this monitor, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But the design at the back is basically your standard gaming monitor design. At the back you get a few different ports. Now mostly guys, I used the display port, but there is a HDMI port if you guys have a PlayStation or an Xbox, so that's pretty good. Of course you have a 3.5mm jack as well if you guys want to connect some speakers maybe, and of course the USB if you guys want to upgrade the software or I think it's the firmware or something. And yeah, that's basically it for that guys. But I want to show you guys how good this monitor can actually look if you guys just add a VESA mount stand. This is a cheap one I got off Amazon, and we're gonna basically connect it to a table. It's just a desk clamp mic, and already this is a very easy way to upgrade your monitor for not a very expensive price. So I would recommend this upgrade for if you guys are not too happy with the stand of the monitor and you guys just want a better stand with a little bit more adjustability. Of course I will link a more expensive monitor stand down below as well, along with this one. But this is how it looks. It looks honestly a lot cleaner and better, and you get some adjustability. I will also link the Amazon link down in the description of both monitor arms. You guys can check it out down below. So yeah, if you guys are interested, of course. But I personally think it is a must-have for this monitor, especially in this price range, considering the monitor isn't really that expensive, and I think you can afford an extra monitor arm. So over here you guys can see we have some Apex Legends. Now this is going to be our FPS test, because we need to test FPS games, guys, for fast movement and the response time. And I have to say, it is perfect. It is genuinely perfect. Like, the response time is very low, and I didn't really realize any like lagging or ghosting or anything like that. It worked pretty well, and you can basically play competitive games on here. Of course, I'm TOG and I haven't played like competitive games in a while, guys. I've been doing some tech reviews a long time, maybe even a year now, so I am out of practice, so just please excuse my bad gameplay. But you guys can basically check this, and yeah, I'm gonna get eliminated. Yeah, but anyway, back to the video. I personally think for FPS games it is pretty good as well. Of course, we're gonna test out a game later after this where that is basically gonna be more focused also on FPS, but more on the quality of the display, so you guys can truly see the graphics pop on the screen. And of course HDR is on for Apex Legends, but this game we're gonna test next is of course Fortnite. And of course, guys, I'm gonna turn off HDR for the first scene over here, and we'll put on HDR for the exact same one in after this basically example and explanation. So this is basically Fortnite on the highest settings on 1440p on a PC, and as you guys can see, it looks absolutely amazing. A game like Fortnite could be a FPS game, but also looks really good and could be pretty demanding if you turn up the settings to max, especially on 1440p. So as you guys can see, I did cap the FPS to 60, but the monitor can go up all the way to 165 Hz. So over here you guys can see is how it looks, and honestly I really think the reflections, the dark spot, the colors are very accurately represented on this monitor. But this is some HDR, guys. We have HDR turned on now, and this is exactly the same scene, so make sure to tell me in the comments if you guys can actually see a big difference. Personally, in person, I saw a little bit of a more accurate color representation, but I didn't really realize that much of a difference. But the monitor's HDR is really good. I've literally seen so many monitors that has HDR, but that looks so bad you can literally just turn it off. It will be better without HDR. But this is clearly not the case with the Samsung Odyssey G5. As you guys can clearly see, with HDR you can also see the reflections a little bit better. It almost looks like it's more clear and the colors are more accurately represented. So definitely turn on HDR on this monitor, guys. It's really not that bad, and I really think it makes a little bit of an improvement. So you can turn that on and you get a nice low response time on this monitor. So guys, I am really impressed with the Samsung Odyssey G5. Personally, this is one of the best monitors I've ever owned, and I've done a ton of monitor reviews. Of course, the color accuracy on this monitor is also very good, but there is better options out there for about the same price range, so please keep that in mind. But I really like the curved display on this monitor, because the other options are usually not curved, but you get a better display, like color accuracy for video editing. But this is really good. I'm currently editing this video on here, and I have to say it's perfect. So don't really judge this monitor too badly. And yeah, guys, honestly, if you guys want to go check the unboxing, I'll link it up here in the right side corner of this monitor. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this 3-month review of this monitor. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.